The last thing the Novato dispatcher had heard in the early morning call for help was a man's voice saying his apartment was on fire. But what the dispatcher didn't know was that the caller, Felix Bannon, was blind.
Hello, sir. Novato Fire, stand by for dispatch.
A pair of fire trucks were immediately launched. Still inside the burning apartment, Felix was trying to get his dog and get out.
The fire had gotten way too intense. It turned from being a whoosh to a roar. It was horrible. I smelled burning plastic. I heard things pop, strange sounds I've never heard before. It's just this feeling of helplessness and frustration and confusion. As I came out, for an instant, I felt the cold. But then I don't remember the cold.
Richard, wake up!
Felix was thinking only of his neighbors.
Fire!
Being blind, I realized that the only thing that I could do was to get everybody out of the building.
Some of them he barely knew.
Liz, hi.
Liz Connolly and her family had only moved in a few months earlier.
We were asleep, and we heard a knock at the door.
Liz, Mike, wake up!
Mike, is there something wrong? It was Felix screaming, "Fire, there's a fire." It's a wood shingle building that could go up very easy. All I could do was grab my son and run out the door.
My apartment!
The temperature outside was below freezing. Felix was wearing only pajamas and in stocking feet.
Wake up, Richard! I got a fire!
All I saw was smoke pouring out of Felix's apartment.
It's big, you can't.
Michael went to see if he could stop it, and it was catching on real quickly. I thought we were actually going to lose everything.
Just tell me to get people there.
Felix then went to warn the neighbors below. He knew they would need special attention.
I ran downstairs to get Peter Mendoza out, who has cerebral palsy. I knew that it would take a while to get him out.
Peter out. Anybody in there?
Peter's healthcare aide answered the door.
I have a fire in my apartment. You gotta get Peter out quick. Peter! Hey, what's going on? There's a fire. We gotta get out of here.
I didn't know what was going on. And you hear all the noises. You hear the crackling. You hear the people. I thought my whole apartment was going to go. I thought this was it.
With Felix's apartment burning out of control, the tenant in the apartment directly below his was in the most danger.
I knew Fred was a heavy sleeper because of his medications, so Valdez and I raced around the side of the building to try to bang on Fred's window. I was frantic at that point. The fire could burn through the floor.
Valdez forward. Come on. Find it. Find it. Give me a hard left. Come on, hard left.
I heard the fire burning up in my window and up by the roof. Once the window broke, I could hear it catching the roof, and I was going, this whole building might be history. I knew that I didn't have much time left. If the floor caved in, he wouldn't have a chance.
Please, Fred, come out.
I kicked Fred's door, made a lot of racket, and then he opened it up and just said, "What's wrong?" When I realized most everybody was out, I just was so shaken by everything that had happened. Things kind of got hazy.
Within 3 minutes of Felix's call, the firefighters arrived. Captain Kurt Richardson took charge at the scene.
On arrival, we could see flames coming out the second-story window of a two-story apartment building. It looked like we could have a problem. The building was charged with smoke. The fire had proceeded down the hallway to the entrance of the living room when I gained entry.
Had we gotten there 3, 4, 5 minutes later, we might have lost half the building.
Officials made sure everyone was safely out of the building. Fire Marshal Tom Elliott located Felix in a nearby apartment.
The first time I saw him, he was pretty upset. He got a lot of smoke, and we had to administer some oxygen to help clear his lungs, calm him down. And the thing that he kept saying is Peter okay? He kept naming off his friends, are they okay? And we'd tell him they were okay, and a few minutes later he wanted to know again. I thought that was amazing for someone to be so concerned about his friends that he just didn't really care about himself or his own belongings.
As soon as he realized that it was out of control and he couldn't do anything, and that other people were in danger, he was the first person out the door to make sure everybody else got out.
And I wonder how long they'll keep us out here.
Everybody got to know each other real well from that fire, actually. People kind of came together. If it hadn't been for Felix, who knows? We could have all gone up in smoke. The whole building could have gone up in flames.
An investigation showed the fire started at a splice someone else had made on the space heater's electrical cord. But because of Felix's quick response, no one was hurt, and only his own apartment was seriously damaged.
I had no idea what a fire could do to an apartment. Things, they're not even recognizable. All the tapes that I'd recorded, the things that you get through 34 years of living. In the fire, all that was gone. I just was thinking, where am I going to live? What am I going to do? How do I start over again? Starting over again just was too big a mountain to even think of.
Felix lost everything and had no insurance. 2 years later, he's put his life back together. The apartment was rebuilt, and he still lives there alone.
The one thing that I always remember from it is that nobody got hurt. That meant a lot more to me than the things that I had. When I moved back here a month later and I had my own place again, I started to feel a little more like there was a rainbow at the end of the road. A large music store was responsible for helping me get new instruments and new equipment. They put together a fundraising effort and helped me get most of what I lost. And I'm totally thankful to them for that.
In recognition of his selfless courage, Felix Bannon was given the California State Firemen's Association Medal of Valor Award. He is the first blind person ever to receive it.
Wow!
People said, you know, how did you do that being blind? And being blind, to me, wasn't a disadvantage. It wasn't an advantage, but it wasn't a disadvantage. It was just a matter of dealing with what had to be done. I mean, oh man, the costs could have been immense for lots of other people other than myself.
Come on, you guys, sign on that team! No doubt!
It makes you appreciate every day to have the things that you love and the people that you love around.
He was more concerned about the people than he was about his equipment. He cared more about us than his things that he had.
Got it!
What can you say after except thank you?
All right!
Next,